In North Carolina, Roy Cooper, $10.9 million. Michael Watley, $1.4 million.
Oof.
Anna, I'm not very good at math, but I think 1.9 is not 1.4 is not as much as 10.9.
Good morning, I'm Anna Palmer.
And I'm Jake Sherman.
And welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchbowl News. It's Thursday, October 16th, 2025. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, inside John Thune's Trump management. Number two, takeaways from a big FEC filing deadline. And number three, the fight over spectrum. It continues. All right, Jake, let's get into it. A great morning top here as we are in day 16 of the government shutdown. Our very own Andrew Desiderio leading here with he and I were talking about this earlier this week, just kind of going through the idea of how, Senate Majority Leader John Thune came in. I think there was a lot of questions. He and Trump kind of famously had some tiffs kind of going back a few years. Thune worked on that. And if you look at his tenure so far atop Senate Republican leadership, it has gone generally very well when it comes to President Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, and who would have thunk, right? I mean, this is a guy who Trump tried to, kind of half-heartedly called to have primaried not too long ago. But listen, here's the thing. Both Thune and Johnson, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, have been successful for Trump. I mean, that's the crux of this matter, right? I mean,
it's easy to get along when things are going well.
Especially with Trump, right? Especially with Trump. So I think that's the crux of this. And I mean, there are a lot of pressure points. There is the filibuster. There is, Andrew mentions the blue slip policy, which allows a home state senator to effectively block the appointment of a judicial or attorney nominee. And there's going to be more pressure going forward. And I want to focus, Anna, for a minute on this. Andrew has some news this morning. There's a group of bipartisan senators discussing several different potential off-ramps from the government shutdown involving these enhanced Obamacare tax credits. The group led by Jeanne Shaheen is discussing the possibility of holding two side-by-side votes to end the shutdown. The first would reopen the government. The second would be on a one-year extension of the enhanced premium tax credits, plus a commitment to pass a longer-term solution by a date certain. This won't happen. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is not an off-ramp. Maybe it will happen. I don't know. But it does not seem likely because it involves a commitment to pass something that Thune is going to be hesitant to pass or hesitant to commit to. The saying goes, you cannot guarantee outcomes. You can't guarantee outcomes. You cannot guarantee the materialization of a coalition. It's very difficult, Anna. The answer, and I've had this, the White House has drilled this into me, which is we're open to talking about anything, but you got to get the government open. And I heard yesterday from a member, a Democrat on the Hill who I was talking to, that their posture is the same behind closed doors, which is every time they come to the White House with, an option or an idea, the White House says, we're open to that. Get the government open. So
sure, but at some point, the government's going to have to reopen. And I think
does it have to?
I would say this. I mean, listen, I think this is important in so much as this is a step, though, right? This is where you start to see members trying to find ways to thread the needle. This is the final deal? Yep. Yeah, maybe not. But can you guarantee outcomes? Maybe not. You can guarantee that you're going to commit to voting on something. You can guarantee a lot of things. And so what becomes as this drags on, right now, this is all a negotiation. And at least I do think for a while it felt like just we were in this holding pattern, right? Everybody was in their camp. No one was ready to kind of seriously consider conversations. And now at least you're starting to see potentially the Congress work its will. The senators try to say all right, we got to find a way forward here.
Yeah, it was a doom loop for a minute, and it continues to be. Yes, I agree. Let me put it this way, Anna. If the demand is we want to vote, they could do that. If the demand is we want to vote and we want something to pass, that becomes less likely.
Sure. We'll have to see. I mean, right.
Of course.
At this point. But Interesting to see, certainly agitation on Thursday as the Senate tees up, a vote on defense appropriations, and going to have to see, I think, also just what do Democrats do here? Are they willing to vote against that, or does it even matter? And they say, hey, we're going to vote on this and move forward. An interesting change of tactics by Senate Majority Leader John Thune. We are watching it all very closely. All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. It was a big FEC filing deadline, which our very own Allie Mutnick and team has been poring over as they try to look at the top takeaways here. I think one of the big things they're reporting is that Senate Democrats are absolutely dominating the dash for cash in most key swing states. The good news for the GOP is they often have the edge in super PAC fundraising or super PAC spending, rather. And Republican candidates are increasingly relying on joint fundraising committees to air TV ads. Interesting just trend lines, right? As you think about what matters, because money matters in these races, who can go up on air, who can be competitive, especially in such a tight kind of quest for the majority in 2026.
Well, let's put it this way. John Ossoff, 12 million. Buddy Carter, Mike Collins, and Derek Dooley, there were 3 Republicans in the race, 2 million. That's 6x what they raised.
Ossoff has 21 million in the bank. So, this is the cash differential there is stunning.
Oh my Lord. Cash, let's just say cash isn't everything, but it's a good sign of a lot. In North Carolina, Roy Cooper, if you want to use his pronunciation, 10.9 million. Michael Watley, 1.4 million. Anna, I'm not very good at math, but I think 1.9 is not 1.4 is not as much as 10.9. Let's say this. John Cornyn raised 910,000. Ken Paxton, 1.3. James Tallarico, one of the Dem candidates, 6.3. Colin Allred, 4.9. Now, let's talk about something even, in my view, more interesting as a House guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trend right now of older members of Congress getting younger challengers. These younger challengers are dominating the olds, as the kids would say. John Larson, 809 in Q3. Luke Bronin, former Hartford mayor, 1.2 million. Bronin has more cash on hand. Mike Thompson, 612,000. Former venture capitalist Eric Jones, 1.5 million. Steve Cohen just raised 41,000. Anna, that ain't gonna cut it.
That's not a lot of dough.
That's not a lot of cash. That will cover like maybe the rent in his office in Memphis. And Justin Pearson didn't enter the race until Q4, 200,000 in the first 36 hours. Brad Sherman, 323,000. Jake Levine, 694. Eleanor Holmes Norton, 3,227.
Not a big quarter for
she needs to think about a fundraising consultant, and if she has one, maybe a new one. But 88 years old. One of her opponents raised 436 and has 357 in the bank. That's 1,000, not like 3,000 like she does. I mean, again, money isn't everything. Incumbency matters. I get all those things, but Lord, this is just, we're going to see more and more of this because there's a lot of
But this is a bigger trend line, Jake, right? Of
sure.
The dissatisfaction with the incumbents and the aging Democratic member representation, and the fact that these challengers if you are a lot of these members, you have to be looking at saying to yourself, all right, do I have the fire in the belly? Because they're not making it easy, right? And if you are raising significantly less when it should be much easier for you to raise money, right? As an incumbent, that is the biggest advantage you have, is the idea that, especially if you're on a committee, you're John Larson, you've been doing this for decades, right?
Yes.
This is not your first time having to dial for dollars. And this is just
This is, by the way, Anna, this is his best fundraising quarter ever. And he's still got smoked.
Wow.
So, and we all know what's been happening, as you said, in the Democratic Party vis-a-vis age. So, it's a big deal.
All right, let's go to the number 3 story of the morning. A great item by our very own Diego Muñez on Spectrum. As anybody's been following this, and we've been covering a ton of this, I find this whole kind of ongoing legislative battle fascinating. There were huge wins in the One Big Beautiful Bill when it came to Spectrum and Auction Authority and pipeline, but now There is a fight. And the opposing camps in the latest spectrum fracas are both claiming to have the Trump administration on their side. Senator Deb Fischer, the Republican from Nebraska, said both Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chair Dan Kane have told the Nebraska Republican that they understand and support her proposal to give the Pentagon more power to block auctions of Pentagon airwaves. But drum roll, there's some drama here. Commerce
Shocking.
Committee Chair Ted Cruz, the Republican from Texas, is pointing to a White House policy statement opposing the provision to say President Donald Trump doesn't want the new restrictions enacted. I expect that Congress will respect President Trump's wishes, Cruz said. We were talking about this a week ago with Rich Hudson, who is very involved in these issues on the House, and just the idea that Fisher, they thought they had basically figured out through the one big beautiful bill and kind of assuage some of her concerns around the defense spectrum. And this is just rearing its head here. Interesting kind of and rare Republican on Republican policy fight.
Yeah, Anna, what a surprise that people take away what they want from talking with Trump administration officials, and they all think that they're on their side. But this has been a fight that's been going on for a while in different forms, the different camps on spectrum, and it's a big deal, and especially as it comes to the Pentagon. And the Pentagon's use of spectrum has long been a point of contention and something that members of Congress want to change or keep the same, or they have opinions on. What a great piece by Diego, and something we're going to stay on top of.
All right, we are going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share it on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube. Just search Punchbowl News. We have an exciting Fireout Day, Jake. We have Steve Scalise is joining us. Man, we have a lot to talk about: government shutdown, Obamacare subsidies, Louisiana, and the Supreme Court case that was heard yesterday, as well as redistricting. No shortage of things, and certainly going to be a lively conversation.
Yes, can't wait for that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Have a great day and stay safe, everybody.